Brittany and Wales have got a lot in common. Both places have Celtic origins. There are linguistic similarities between Breton and Welsh, and they also share an anthem. Even the weather is quite similar. It therefore made perfect sense that when Wales midfielder Jordan James left Birmingham City last summer, he decided to come to Rennes. I caught up with him and asked him about his new home from home. Jordan, here we are at the Musée de Bretagne, the Museum of Brittany. There are obviously lots of connections between Wales and Brittany. Yeah. Has that helped you find your feet? Do you feel like you're not all that far from home, perhaps?
Yeah, massively. I think the first time I stepped foot in the stadium and I heard obviously the national anthem, I was a bit starstruck, really. I wasn't expecting it, and listening to that theme tune, it means just so much to me. And to hear that at a club level, not many people are able to get that, so I feel really privileged to be able to feel that.
It's a big decision to take, to leave your home country, move to a new country where you don't speak the language.
Yeah.
How did you come to make that decision?
It did take a lot of time. It's hard when you're so young to predict what you want your future to be. I've always sort of wanted to play abroad. You look at the best footballers in the world, some of them have been able to do it. I think it also, as a person, I wanted to build on myself as a person. When I was younger, I've always been quite shy and quite quiet, so coming abroad you can't be. You have to be expressive, you have to talk to your teammates, even though they do speak a different language. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it is. As in school, I didn't do French, I did Spanish, so I didn't even have a head start. So that's a big thing for me. I want to be able to speak French, I want to be able to speak to the fans in French, so I'm working hard to do that.
How are you finding the food? Have you tried a galette saucisse yet? I'm told that that's the local speciality.
No, I haven't tried that yet.
Sausage wrapped up in a pancake,
yeah?
Which sounds great.
I'll have to try it.
Yeah.
I'll have to try it. I can't lie, I got a rental car when I first joined, and obviously it was on the other side of the car, and I did hit my rim on the curb. So I've got my car from England and put it over here, so now I feel comfortable.
How does a French changing room compare to a British changing room?
There's a lot of dancing, a lot of singing, which I don't mind, but not too different, to be honest. There's always banter in the dressing room, whether that be in England or France.
Who's in charge of the music in the hand changing room?
Ooh, Chris. Chris is in charge. Yeah, he loves his music, constantly listening to music, constantly dancing, constantly singing. I just sit there and bop my head, but he's up there dancing, so I respect it.
And if you were putting music on, what kind of tunes would you be putting on?
I'm more of a R&B, 2000s, Neo, Usher. That's a bit of me.
That's it. I was really worried you were going to say a load of people I'd never heard of, so I'm quite reassured.
Yeah, that's a bit of me.
Listen, I don't even know Rennes as a city. Okay, we're going to start here with a nice little Rennes background. We've talked a little bit about the differences in terms of changing rooms between the UK and France. How does the football compare?
It's very different. I knew it would be. When I've obviously watched French football, I could tell that it was a lot different. The intensity is really high. You have a lot of players that are athletes, and you won't find one that's really, really slow. Everything's a sprint. Everyone's pressing. So for that 90 minutes, it's 100 miles an hour, whereas at times in the Championship it did calm down a little bit, but for here it doesn't, and that's probably the biggest thing that I found.
You've got that chance now that Jorge Sampaoli's come in, one of the most highly respected coaches in world football.
Yeah.
What has he changed, just generally speaking, at the club since he came in?
He's set standards, big standards. The intensity's higher. He wants us to play a way that he wants to play, and if you don't want to play that way, then you're not playing. He's got a very demanding style of how he wants to play, and you have to play like that. He said, I know you're a good player, I know technically you're a very good player. He said, just keep it ticking, pass forward, and that was what I was able to do. I think that really helped me. Someone putting faith into me and giving me them words of advice is something that I need, and he was able to do that.
Since Sampaoli came in, you've been playing alongside Azo Matosiwa in the sort of double pivot. How does that partnership work, and how do you sort of split up responsibilities on the pitch?
I think it works really well. He's obviously very defensive minded, and I'm sort of the player that can do both sides of the game. as you like to call it, that 8 role, where I can go forward, I can score goals, but I can also defend in a way of protecting the back line. So I think we work very well. Both our games are very different, but when we do come together, it's very good. The reason I want to do that is because when I play for Wales, and I do play against the best, I think the one that comes to mind is the Croatia game. When I was able to play against Kovacic and Modric and be able to match them and obviously win the game, that was probably the point for me where I was like, yeah, I can compete against these kind of players. Whenever I doubt myself a little bit, because you do, as footballers you do, when say you have a bad game or you're just in a low point, you do think back to the times where you have competed against the best players and you know you can do it, you know it's in you, you know that your brain's able to do it. Obviously that was probably the best game in a Wales shirt for me. The feeling of winning that game was massive as a country and for myself. So yeah, I always go back to that game.
Craig Bellamy came in as Wales coach. He has mentioned that he spoke to you earlier in the season when you weren't playing and sort of encouraged you to be patient. What has his message been to you? Yeah,
I spoke to him a bit when I was in camp. He said, look, don't worry about it. Take your time. It will come. He said, you just need that chance, and it did come. I was able to show everyone what I could do, and then ever since then, I've been able to get a consistent amount of games, which hopefully he'll be pleased about. The consistent games helps a lot for me to be able to perform for my country.
Joe's played at Rennais before Joe rode on. Aaron Ramsey was at Nice a little while ago. Would you recommend playing in Ligue 1 to other Welsh teammates?
Yeah, of course. It's one of the, like I've said before, it's one of the biggest leagues in the world. So why wouldn't you? Any young footballer who wants to play abroad, it's obviously something that I've shown, hopefully, everyone that they can do. And hopefully I can perform and play well and show everyone that you're able to do it.
Thanks very much, mate.
No worries.
Real pleasure.
Thank you.